All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another deep dive.
Yeah,
This one, this one is going to be a good one.
I think so.
You guys sent in Genesis chapter 47,
Right.
and wow,
Yeah, it's a big one.
there is a lot going on
It
in
is.
this chapter. We're
Absolutely.
talking about ancient Egypt, we're talking about famine, we're talking about a family reunion
Oh, yeah, a big one.
with some serious baggage.
Lots of baggage.
I mean, like, you think you got family drama.
Right.
These guys got it.
Well, it's kind of the original, right?
Yeah.
The OG family drama.
So we're going to be pulling from the King James Version of the Bible, and we are also going to be using Matthew Henry's commentary from 1710.
Great commentary.
So get ready for
I love Matthew Henry.
wild ride through history,
Absolutely.
economics,
Yeah.
and some really human drama.
It's amazing how these ancient stories still resonate today, you know?
Yeah.
Thousands of years ago, right? But the same themes.
Yeah.
Family, power, survival. It's
Yeah.
like, are we any different? Okay, so let's set the stage here.
Okay.
We're in Egypt, along the Nile,
Right.
and there's a famine.
A bad one.
I mean, a serious famine.
Yeah, this is not just like you ran out of chips or something.
Right.
This is a full-blown crisis.
Yeah, and society's teetering.
Yeah.
And enter Joseph.
Joseph.
You remember Joseph?
Of course.
The coat of many colors, sold into slavery by his brothers.
What a story.
Right.
That's just the beginning.
Yeah, things are about to get even more intense
Yeah.
because Joseph,
He's had quite a journey.
well,
He has, from slavery to becoming, like, essentially the governor of Egypt.
yeah. Like, talk about resilience.
Right.
He is now Pharaoh's right-hand man.
Absolutely.
And it was his foresight during the good years
That's right.
that allowed him to prepare
Exactly.
for this famine.
Stockpile the grain.
Yeah, so he's like the ancient Egyptian prepper, right?
Love it.
But there's more to this than just,
It's always
smart planning.
right.
There is this deep family drama.
Oh, yeah.
So the famine hits Canaan,
Right.
where Joseph's family lives.
Hard.
Really hard.
Especially hard for them because they're nomadic, right?
Well, yeah, they're patriarchs.
Right.
Which means they rely on their livestock.
For survival.
They're constantly on the move.
Right.
So this famine is not just an inconvenience for them.
It's life or death.
Yeah, it's an existential threat
Absolutely.
to their entire way of life.
And that desperation, that drives Joseph's brothers to Egypt
Yeah,
in search of food.
to get help.
Yeah, they're desperate.
They show up at the palace.
They do. And
Little do they know
have no idea
who they're dealing with
that they are standing face to face
face to face.
with the brother they betrayed
Years ago.
years ago.
Wow, what a reunion. I
Wow.
can't even imagine.
Yeah, talk about awkward
Number
family
5.
Thanksgivings, right?
Right. Oh, my goodness.
But eventually, the
well,
truth comes out.
It always does.
And it's an incredibly
It comes out in a big way.
emotional
Heavily emotional.
moment of reconciliation.
It really is.
You know, it's a good reminder for all of us
Absolutely.
that even the most fractured relationships
Yeah.
can find some healing
It's possible.
and forgiveness.
Right.
And then this sets the stage
For an even bigger reunion.
for an even bigger reunion.
The whole family.
He sends for his dad
Yeah, Jacob.
and the whole family
The whole crew.
to come to Egypt.
Can you imagine that?
So think about this.
Yeah.
This nomadic family
Right.
used to tents and open
This
spaces.
is a certain way of life.
Suddenly they're
That's
in
a good
ancient Egypt,
Bustling city.
the bustling, like, metropolis
Total culture shock.
of ancient Egypt.
It's absolutely.
And then on top of that,
What happens next?
we have this encounter
Oh, yeah.
between Jacob
The patriarch.
and Pharaoh.
The most powerful ruler in the
The
world.
big guy.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So you got this nomadic shepherd.
Right.
Blessing Pharaoh.
That's powerful.
It's striking.
Yeah, Matthew Henry really picks up on that in his commentary.
Yeah.
He sees it as, this testament to Jacob's faith, even in the presence of all this power.
It's just a reminder that faith isn't
As
limited
it were.
to any one place or people.
Absolutely.
And it can show up
Yeah.
in the most unexpected
Honey.
places and times,
Yeah.
bridging these cultural divides.
That's beautiful.
But back to the famine,
Oh, right. The famine.
which isn't getting any better.
No.
In
it's
fact,
getting worse.
It's getting worse.
Yeah.
The Egyptians are running out of money.
Can't even afford food.
They can't buy food.
Desperation is setting in.
And this is
What
where
happens.
Joseph steps in.
Yeah.
Now, whether you call it genius or ruthlessness,
Right.
he comes up with a plan
A plan to save the people.
to address this.
Yeah.
But it has some serious implications.
It is. We have to remember that,
Context is key.
the context.
Ancient Egypt.
Ancient Egypt.
Different world.
Pharaoh was the absolute authority.
Right.
And the idea of
Individual rights.
individual rights
Not so much.
was not exactly
Not a
a
priority.
top priority.
No.
So with the Egyptians facing starvation,
Starvation.
Joseph implements
What does he do?
these increasingly drastic measures.
Oh, boy. This is where it gets interesting.
Yeah, hold on to your hats, folks, because this is where the story
Takes a turn.
really takes a turn.
Yeah. So the people are really up against it now.
Yeah. I mean, can you imagine
Yeah.
having to make that choice?
It's unimaginable.
Yeah, to barter away your livelihood?
Your future.
Your future.
Just to survive.
Yeah. I mean, it
And
really
pick another day.
makes you think
Yeah.
about how fragile,
Everything is.
our systems are,
Absolutely.
even the ones that seem so mighty.
Right.
And
Well, and it gets worse, right?
it gets worse.
Because even bartering
Yeah.
runs out.
They don't have anything left to trade.
Right. They've given up everything.
And so,
So they turn to Joseph,
they turn to Joseph,
who controls the grain
who's in control.
of the entire food supply.
He's the only one.
Yeah.
What a position to be in.
Joseph, being in this position of absolute authority,
Right.
proposes a solution
Okay.
that reshapes the entire
Wow.
power structure
Yeah.
of Egypt.
So what does he do?
Essentially,
Yeah.
in exchange for food,
Okay.
the Egyptians have to surrender their land
To Pharaoh.
to Pharaoh.
Their land.
Their land.
Wow.
Think about that.
That's huge.
Their ancestral lands,
Yeah.
the foundation of their existence,
Mm-hmm.
just to survive,
Just to eat.
just to eat.
Incredible.
I mean,
What a
it's brutal,
brutal Oregon.
but they felt like they had no choice.
Right. What are you going to do?
And so Joseph transforms a nation.
Yeah. Of independent landowners
Right.
into tenant farmers,
All under Pharaoh.
all under Pharaoh.
Wow.
But there is this interesting detail.
Okay, what's that?
In the text,
Yeah.
the priests were exempt
Exempt from the...
from the land transfer.
Interesting.
They already received an allowance from
They
Pharaoh.
were taken care of.
So their holdings remained untouched.
So even in this crisis,
Even in this crisis,
the priests...
the religious elite
Yeah.
stayed in their position
Wow, it really shows you
of power.
the power dynamics at play.
Yeah.
And how some things never change, right?
Right.
Even famine can't shake that.
And so Joseph
Mm-hmm.
implements this new system.
Okay.
People can farm the land, but they have to give
Uh-huh.
a fifth
The
of
fifth of
their
their
harvest
is what they grow.
to Pharaoh
That's
as a
right.
form of tax.
So basically...
Yeah, he created a system
Mhm.
that ensured survival,
Right.
but consolidated Pharaoh's power
Yes. Total control.
and control over the food.
The food supply.
Yeah.
It's brilliant in a way.
It's pretty brilliant.
And ruthless.
Yeah, and ruthless.
Yeah.
I mean, it raises some
Big questions.
big questions
That's sure.
about,
Power.
power, leadership,
Leadership in a crisis.
compromise.
What people will do to survive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fascinating.
And then amidst all of this,
Yeah.
we have this other story
Yeah.
unfolding.
The story of Jacob.
Jacob's journey of faith.
Right. So while all this is happening,
Yeah.
he's focused on something else.
He's got his eyes
A different kind of inheritance.
on different prize.
Right. Exactly.
I don't know.
You're talking about Jacob's insistence on being buried.
Yes.
Not in Egypt,
Not in Egypt,
but in Canaan.
Canaan, the promised
The
land.
promised land.
Remember, for Jacob,
Yeah.
Canaan wasn't just a place.
It was more than just a location.
It was a promise.
It represented God's covenant with his ancestors.
Yeah.
A spiritual homeland.
So even though,
Even though he found refuge in Egypt,
yeah,
prosperity,
his heart
his heart was elsewhere.
was in Canaan,
Right.
his true home,
His true home.
tied to that promise.
Yeah. And it really creates this contrast, doesn't it?
It's this contrast
Between him and Joseph.
between father and son.
Joseph, the pragmatist,
Yeah,
dealing with the here and now,
yeah,
and Jacob,
the man of faith.
focused on the future.
Yeah, I mean,
Something I think a lot of us can relate to,
yeah,
that tension.
yeah.
You know, We've all got those two sides.
I've got those two sides.
Trying to figure out how to make it all work.
And it's not like
Right.
one is better
Exactly. It's not about that.
than the other.
It's about the balance.
It's about finding that balance.
Right.
And Matthew Henry makes a
a
really
great point.
insightful
Yeah.
observation in his
yeah.
commentary.
Yeah.
He says that Jacob's burial request
Okay.
wasn't just about a place. It was about affirming his place.
His place in God's covenant.
God's covenant.
It's beautiful.
It was a statement of faith.
Powerful.
Yeah, a declaration
Mhm.
that his ultimate destiny
Yes.
lay beyond the borders
And on Egypt.
of Egypt.
Wow.
And then we have this
What's next?
incredibly moving scene
Okay.
where Jacob,
Yeah.
nearing the end of his life,
Mhm.
blesses Pharaoh.
He blesses Pharaoh.
It's so unexpected.
That's incredible.
right.
I mean, here you have
Yeah, you have this
nomadic shepherd,
nomadic shepherd
a simple man,
whose life has been
a hard life,
hard
full of uncertainty,
uncertainty,
and he's bestowing a blessing
blessing.
on the most powerful ruler in the world.
I mean,
It's mind-blowing.
it makes you think,
It does.
what was he thinking?
Thinking,
Right.
here he is,
At the pinnacle of power, the pinnacle of earthly power,
and he's being blessed
being blessed
by this man,
by a man who
leaving
had
him nothing.
very little by worldly standards.
It really challenges our notions
Yeah, it does.
of power
Yeah,
and influence.
makes you think.
It does.
And maybe
Really
true
like-
strength doesn't
Mhm.
come from
not from material wealth
material wealth,
or political power.
political authority,
Right.
but something
Something much deeper.
much deeper.
Absolutely.
And it speaks to the audacity
Yeah.
of faith.
The audacity of faith. I love that.
That belief.
That even in the face of
That in the face of
overwhelming power,
insurmountable power,
a simple act
a simple act of blessing
can mean so much.
can carry profound significance.
Profound significance.
Yeah.
So we've got this story
We've delved into the story,
of Joseph,
the joke of
the famine,
famine.
the choices they made.
So what does it all mean?
Yeah, that's the big question, right?
What does it mean for us
Us today.
thousands of years later?
Right.
What can we take away
What can we learn
from this ancient narrative?
that applies to our lives?
Yeah, let's unpack that a little bit more.
So much to think about here.
Yeah, I mean, for you listening,
Mm.
what really stood out
Yeah, what resonated with you?
in this chapter?
What part of the story really grabbed you?
I think
Yeah.
for me,
Yeah.
it's that contrast
Well, yeah.
between Joseph
And Jacob.
and Jacob.
Two different approaches.
Yeah, their whole approach to life.
To life, yeah.
And the choices that they make.
And the choices that they make.
You know, got Joseph, super practical.
Yeah, the pragmatist,
Yeah.
engaged in the world,
Yeah, he's like right there in the thick of it.
in the power structure,
Yeah.
making those tough calls,
Making the hard choice.
doing what needs to be done.
Yeah, to make sure that people survive.
Yeah.
And then you have Jacob.
Right, Jacob focused on something different.
Yeah. He's got this unshakable faith.
Yeah, his spiritual inheritance,
And he's
not so worried about the day-to-day.
not worried about the day-to-day.
He's got his eyes on the bigger picture.
Yeah. It's like
Or both.
two sides of us, right?
Yeah. Two sides of the human experience.
We've all got a little bit of both.
Don't we?
Yeah, that drive to deal with what's right in front of us.
Yeah.
But also
But also yearning
that yearning for something more.
for something more.
Yeah, the meaning.
Yeah, something that gives our lives meaning.
Purpose.
Right.
Beyond just the material world.
Right.
So how do we...
It makes you think.
It really does.
How do we balance that?
Yeah, how do we find that balance? Those competing impulses.
impulses.
How do we engage with the world
Yeah.
without losing ourselves?
Without losing sight
Without losing sight of what matters.
of what matters.
Right. It's a struggle.
Yeah. And this story,
Mm-hmm.
as ancient as it is, thousands of years old.
Offers some timeless wisdom.
Absolutely.
It's a reminder that
What's that?
there's no easy answer.
No.
There's no one size fits all.
Right. There's no magic formula.
It's about finding that balance
Finding that balance, yeah.
between pragmatism and faith
Engaging with the world, but also holding on to a vision.
of something better.
Or something better, yeah.
And it's not like one approach is better.
No, not
No.
at all than the other.
We need both.
We need both.
We need the Josephs.
We need the Josephs and we need the Jacobs.
Absolutely. We need the people who can make those tough choices,
Yeah.
navigate those complex situations.
And we need
And we need those who inspire us
The people who inspire us.
to reach for something more.
Yeah.
You know, Matthew Henry,
Matthew Henry makes this.
he makes this really interesting connection
Yeah, this
between Joseph providing for Egypt.
Right, like physical sustenance.
Yeah.
And Jesus as the savior of humanity.
Like spiritual nourishment.
Spiritual nourishment, yeah.
And he says that just as
the Egyptians needed Joseph
yeah,
to get through the famine,
we rely on
Jesus for that spiritual food.
for that spiritual sustenance.
It's a beautiful parallel.
It's interesting, even if you don't
come at it,
approach this from a religious perspective.
not a religious perspective.
There's still
so much there.
so much there
Right.
about family,
Family, resilience.
the search for meaning,
The search for meaning, yeah.
This
This crazy world
crazy world.
full of chaos and uncertainty.
Yeah, it's full of chaos and uncertainty.
Right. Makes you think about
It makes you think about
your own values.
yeah, what really matters.
What really matters.
So as we wrap up our deep dive here,
Yeah.
I'm left with this question.
What's that?
What does it mean
Yeah.
to live a life of purpose?
The life of meaning.
Yeah. And
Meaning
in a world that often feels like it's just driven by,
driven by pragmatism and just surviving.
yeah, just pragmatism and survival.
Right. It's a great question to ponder.
It is a great question to ponder.
Maybe it's about
Maybe it's about,
finding ways to integrate our values
yeah,
into our everyday lives.
into our choices,
Yeah. Even when it's tough.
even when it's tough.
Right. Because those values,
Yeah.
that's what guides us.
Maybe it's about recognizing
Yeah.
that real fulfillment
That true fulfillment,
doesn't come from
not from material
the
things
stuff
or social status.
or social status.
It's something deeper.
It's something deeper.
It's about connection,
Yeah, a sense of belonging,
a sense of belonging,
a belief in something
a belief in something bigger.
bigger than ourselves.
Yeah.
Maybe it's about,
Maybe it's like Jacob,
yeah,
holding on to that vision of hope,
that vision of hope.
that belief in a future
Yeah, a future
that might not even happen in our lifetime.
yeah, it might not happen in our lifetime,
But it keeps us going.
but it keeps us going.
Right.
Yeah, it sustains us.
It does.
Well,
This has been quite a journey
This has been quite the journey.
through ancient Egypt.
Yeah, we've explored ancient Egypt,
The story of Joseph and Jacob,
Joseph and Jacob,
but it's also been a journey
and it's also been a journey
inward.
inward.
Right. Thinking about our own values.
Yeah, about ourselves.
Our own place in the world.
Our place in the world.
We talked about family,
Family, faith,
faith, leadership,
the power of the human spirit.
human spirit.
Hopefully
Yeah,
you
it's-
listening
Yeah, hope you've come
gained
in
some new insights,
new insights,
new perspectives,
maybe some questions,
and some questions.
some things to ponder,
Yeah,
because that's what makes these stories so powerful.
they really are
It
power.
spark that conversation.
Yeah,
That goes beyond time and space.
that connects us.
That connects us all across generations.
So thank you for joining us
Yes, thank you
on this journey.
on this deep dive.
And remember, the exploration
It doesn't end here.
doesn't end here.
Keep seeking,
Keep seeking.
keep questioning,
Keep questioning.
keep digging deeper.
Keep digging deeper.